Last week, I was in an Uber heading to the airport, doing what I often like to do during Uber rides, chatting with the driver. I always like to ask them interesting questions, picking their brain and seeing what kind of unique experiences they've gone through in their life. This driver, he was in his early 40s, and after a little bit of small talk, he mentioned that he's going through a rough patch in his life. He's just gone through a nasty divorce, he lost quite a bit of money, and he's not really satisfied with where he's at. So I asked him, just out of curiosity, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to your 25-year-old self? He stopped for a bit, and then he adjusted his rearview mirror, glanced at me, and he said, time is your most valuable resource because it's the only thing that you can't get more of. You can always make more money. You can always build new relationships. You can always gain new skills. But time, that's the truly finite resource that none of us can make more of. He said, I spent so much of my 20s and my 30s worrying about all these insignificant things that I thought were so important in the moment without actually living. Now, in my mind, when I heard that, I thought, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Don't waste your time. That's kind of like a pretty generic piece of advice. But what he said next was very interesting to me. He said, there's someone I knew who was a lot older than me who gave me this very same piece of advice when I was in my mid-20s. He said, oh yeah, when I heard it, I shrugged it off and I thought, yeah, I won't fall into that trap. I'll use my time well. But now here I am, almost 2 decades later, giving this very same piece of advice that I failed to follow myself. Then we got to our destination, said goodbye to the driver, stepped out of the Uber, and it dawned on me that we're all like this. Right? We all think we're different. We all think we're somehow smarter, that we'll sort of be able to not fall into this trap of wasting our time. We all have this idea in our head. But then, if you actually look at your life, you'll see that, your life consists of mostly excuses. I mean, excuse after excuse after excuse. You got so many excuses. We all have. Okay, we all have. You have excuses for not getting into the ideal shape you want to get into. You have excuses to not starting your business. You have excuses for not meeting new people. You have excuses for everything that you want in your life. If you didn't have the excuses, you'd already have the things that you want. There will never be a convenient time to start. Okay, that convenient, perfect opportunity to get started with your new project, to meet that new person, to get into shape, that doesn't exist. There is no such thing as a convenient, perfect moment. That only convenient, perfect moment is right now. An example from my own life. So I recently started to travel a little bit of Australia. So I'm visiting Australia, and originally my intention was only to stay for 2 or 3 weeks, but I decided to extend my trip because you know what? I've always wanted to see more of Australia. I've always wanted to spend more time here. And at first my mind was this is not convenient. I got a lot of things going on at home, I got a good routine, I got good momentum. Now's not the convenient time to do a little bit of traveling. But then I thought to myself, well, when is the convenient time gonna be? What makes me think there's gonna be a more convenient time next year? Chances are I'm just going to be busier next year, so it's going to be even harder to find the time to do this. Whatever it is that you've convinced yourself not to do yet, not to do because the moment isn't right, you're not quite skilled enough yet, you need a little bit more practice, you need a little bit more knowledge or experience before you can do it, fucking do it right now. Literally, just do it right now. Start now, become a pro, become a professional, as Steven Pressfield says, and get started now.